All right, welcome back to Project Z. My name is James Perigo,
I'm Eva Ryan.
and today we are joined by Laura. Do you want to talk about who you are and where you work?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Laura Gartin. I am the program director for Live to Give Hope, which operates the Fostering Hope Closet and several other programs for Laclede County and serving the Ozarks.
All right, so today we're going to talk about, of course, the Fostering Hope Closet and then how that reaches our community, kind of the fostering, how that foster care works in our community, and then how much we see, and then, of course, how that relates to our students at school, being students ourselves.
Yes, of course.
All right, so let's start off. You run the Fostering Hope Closet. So what is kind of your relationship with the foster care system? What experience have you had with it?
So the Fostering Hope Closet was born out of a direct need. I started fostering back in May of 2017. My first placement, which I was promised as a respite care provider, would just be basically babysitting for existing foster parents. That they promised they would not bring me a baby in the middle of the night. And then that's exactly what they did. So had to run to Walmart, which at the time was open 24/7. So that was an option. And spent over $100 just to make it through the night, and realized we needed resources in our community for people who are experiencing that. Because when you say yes to foster, you don't understand fully what you're committing to and what you're saying yes to. Because for my case, it was a 3-month-old at 10 o'clock at night, and she was screaming. They said, "We have no idea when she ate last," and they gave me a diaper bag that was full of socks. So no formula, no bottles, no diapers, no clothes. She was filthy. So how am I to care for this child? I was a single woman with no children. I didn't have any of the baby things. I was promised that all of the things that the child needed would be brought with them, and then that's not how that happened. So I wanted to make sure that there was a resource available to the community, and so I own my own business. And so we had space in the back, and I was like, well, we can just make this a community resource. And then it just grew from there and took on a complete life of its own, and my life as well. And now it's huge, and we're in a building where we have all of the things: diapers and formula and bottles and wipes and clothes and cribs and car seats, and have now developed 5 other programs to serve the foster care community, as well as other needs continued to arise in working with the foster care community.
I don't even know where the closet's located at.
Okay.
So this is my first question for anyone at home who also may not know. If necessary, where is the Fostering Hope Closet located at?
Okay, so we're out on 32 past Copeland. For you guys, it's across from the Eagle Stop. At least I think that's what it's called. It's a gas station right there.
The gas station right on the corner.
Yeah, past the S curve. And it used to be ETC Bridal, but that was probably long before you guys knew it as that. So yeah, that's where it is.
Yes, and that is definitely filling a need. I know I have 3 foster siblings that are adopted now, and our youngest we actually picked up from the hospital. She was a week old, and she had just been there, and we found out, I think, 12 hours before we got her. So,
Yep.
yes, that need
how
is...
that works.
Yes. Yep. The other 2, of course, we had a little bit more of a heads up, but it was still like, they typically come with, I think it's a bag of clothes, and that's about all they're able to take from there.
And generally, it's a trash bag.
Yes.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you'll have them moving from one foster house to another house, and that's still, they've only got about a bag, and it can happen overnight, and it's very...
Yeah, definitely. And we always try and encourage, like, teenagers especially. Imagine if that was you in that situation. What would you need? All of your things, all of your family, everything that is familiar to you is now gone. And so, like, donating your clothes when you have, changed size or season, or are no longer interested in those clothes, because teenagers do come into care. And so we want to make sure that it's not old people clothes that they have the option to choose from, and we don't know what it is that you guys like to wear, and what's in season and what's in style and all of that. And so by donating your clothes, you're going to be able to help another teen who unfortunately winds up in those situations.
And that's a great, easy opportunity to just help out, even if you can't volunteer time.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And, one big misconception is that kids are in foster care because they're bad kids. That's not the case at all. It's because they're in a situation where their parents can't keep them safe. And so, unfortunately, that is the only thing that the state knows how to do is remove them from that situation until it can be remedied so that they can go home. Or if it can't be remedied, that then, like with your siblings, that it becomes permanency through adoption in a foster home.
I want to ask, just because this is on the top of my head right now, is there anything that you would like fully step into the foster care system to change, or have you tried to do anything like that? Or because obviously how you're talking about it, it seems like there's definitely a lot of things that you just maybe don't agree with in the system, which I think that's for everyone who knows anything about it. But have you fully are you hoping to fully step into kind of like the system and work on those things and try to fix them?
So the system is very broken.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. But there's also only so much that can be done because legislation and policy can be great, but then if it's not carried out on the ground, foster care is so case-by-case basis. Every situation is wholly different from the next. And so having good people involved is really the biggest thing. There are absolutely not enough foster homes. And so, unfortunately, what that means is the people who do say yes, and caseworkers know when they call you, you're going to say yes, they get overwhelmed and they get overloaded. And then they take on more kids than they can handle. And then those homes end up burning out. And they say, we can't do this anymore because it's abused, basically. But we need more people to step up and say yes so that you can say, hey, I could take one kid or I could take two instead of these people have said yes and now they're taking 10. Because then it starts to become something different. And some people can handle that, but most people can't. And, then you got to get a bus to drive everybody around. And, it's just a whole thing. So more people stepping up to say yes in whatever way that they can. You only have to be 21 years old to foster.
Exactly.
You don't have to be 40. You don't have to be married. You don't have to be, a female. There are single guys who foster, and a 21-year-old is going to, be younger and be able to do things differently and think about things differently than, somebody my age or older. Most of the people who foster are retired or older. And sometimes that's, not the best. I know some foster families that started fostering at 21 and they primarily took teenagers. Yeah. And you would think like, that's crazy. They're not that much older than men, but that's the whole point. They know where they're coming from. They can't say, you don't get it. It's like, dude, I was just your age, like not that long ago,
Yeah.
And so that I think is what we need the most is people just willing to step into it and not so much get caught up. I love Representative Schmidt. I love what she is doing. There is definitely a need for all of that. But that's not what most of us do and where we're going to fall. And so we just have to do what we can in our own little corner of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just in our own experience, we've gotten those calls and, you reach a limit to where there's like, you physically cannot take more kids in. Right. And that's difficult. It's really hard to say no. Mm-hmm. And I know that my parents have struggled with that because the type of situation that those kids are coming from.
Right.
Yeah. And that's tough. So just kind of for an idea, how would you say Lebanon's foster care system or situation is? Would you say we've got nowhere near enough, or how many kids would you say there are? Yeah.
Okay. Homes, definitely not enough. So in our area, most of the kids are in what they call kinship. So with a relative or somebody that the child knows or has some kind of a connection to. So could be a teacher, grandparent, aunt and uncle, those type of familial type relationships. Just traditional foster homes, I couldn't give you an exact number, but I know it's not very high. Mm-hmm. And so we need more people who are willing to say, and even doing respite. I'm not sure there are, but a handful of people who are genuine respite care providers, which is somebody who is willing to help out a foster family or take emergency placement. So kid comes into care in the middle of the night. If they can't find a home for them, they're going to sleep in Children's Division office. It's not a good situation. It would be wonderful if they had a place for them to go immediately, even temporarily, until they could find a more permanent place for them.
Yes.
So there's around in our circuit. So Laclede County is part of the 26th circuit, which is 5 counties altogether. So Laclede, Camden, Miller, Morgan, and Montauk. So it's a huge area.
I don't even know where Montauk is.
Exactly. Right before you get to Columbia.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh goodness.
So
That's far.
That's far.
If you drive, or sorry, not Columbia, Jeff City.
It's
So
almost worse, actually.
right. So if you drive up North 5, you'll go through Camden County and then Morgan County and then to Montauk.
Yeah.
And then if you keep going on 5 and then get on 54, you'll hit Eldon, and that is Miller County. And then it kind of will make a circle all the way back around then to come back to Lebanon. But there's at any given point over 300 kids actively in foster care in our circuit. And almost half of those kids are out of Laclede County. And then Camden and Morgan have about half as many as Laclede. And then Miller has about half as many as they do, and then very few that come out of Montauk County. And now, like Judge Winfrey will tell you, sometimes the numbers can be misleading, because does that mean there's not as many kids who should be in care in those other counties? Or just that it's not being reported and investigated and seen and all of that. And so sometimes the numbers can be misleading. But we do have a lot of kids who are actively in care that come out of Laclede County.
Yeah, about 150 that's really high. And then, that's spread out, of course, among the cities in Laclede, but still just in our own school system, there's
plenty of children. I vividly remember being in 2nd grade, and there was a kid I sat next to. I had a little crush on him, and he was a foster kid. And I reconnected with him about 6 months ago, and he's living in Springfield and doing amazing. And it's crazy to see, because these are these kids that just were with us for a year and a half and then just weren't.
Right.
And you never know what happened to them, and you just hope for the best.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They're just kids. I mean,
Exactly.
Literally anybody could wind up in that situation because it's not their fault. They were in circumstances that they had zero control over. And sadly, a lot of it is substance use. It's not all, but substance use and neglect are 2 of the biggest reasons that kids come into care in our area.
Yes, those rates are high just by telling our own foster kids.
Right. Yep.
If we just sample out of them. So with the amount of foster kids in our county, how many would you say are probably at Lebanon right now?
At Lebanon R3?
Yeah.
I would say probably 75% or more. I mean, because you got to think, Julie Barber and Conway and
We have
Gaffney.
such a big district. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, Fostering Hope Closet supports our school district, especially because it's in our town. And so being able to volunteer and help out there goes right back into our school systems and helps those students that are maybe sitting right next to you or maybe have a crush on back in.
Hey, guys. I'm sorry.
Nah. All right. So let's go back into kind of your own experience raising your daughter from probably about when you got her to about now. What were some of the hardships you faced in fostering? Just so maybe people who are interested or have heard about it from this can kind of see what they're coming up with.
So my daughter was actually 15 when she came into my home, and it was, again, under respite. I was only licensed for respite at that time. And actually, that may not be true, but it was only supposed to be respite. It was only supposed to be for 5 days. At the time, I had an infant, and my license contract, basically, I wanted kids 5 and under because I did not think that I could handle a teenager.
We are quite a lot. Yeah.
You guys are handfuls. I know I was a handful, and so that is what I was thinking about, and I did not want to deal with a me. And so at the end of that 5 days, as we were approaching it and they had found placement for her, she said, I don't want to go there. I want to stay here. And you guys are going to make me cry.
Let it out.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, of course. How can I say no to that? She changed my life completely. Teenagers are amazing. After that, I totally changed my license. I stopped taking kids under 5, and I exclusively was taking teenagers at that point, because teenagers are fun. You guys are just trying to figure out how to adult, and being able to teach kids how to drive and how to cook and how to budget, and just watching you come into your own is like the most beautiful thing. And teenagers do get a bad rap, but again, I think about, had I been in foster care when I was young, dude, I would have been bounced around from house to house all of the time. I had trauma, child sexual abuse when I was younger, and hadn't dealt with it. And so all of those behaviors started coming out when I was a teenager. And I still had great grades. I was keeping appearances up, but I was very depressed and struggling and trying to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be, and made a lot of really poor decisions. And so having that experience and wanting to be able to walk that journey with somebody else and help them see that their past does not have to define them, and that they can make a beautiful life for themselves. And so our daughter is now 23. She has 3 beautiful children. And so I am a Lula. Do not call me a grandma. I am a Lula.
Not a grandma.
Not a grandma. And yeah, I mean, it's of course had its challenges. When a child is in the foster care system, and especially as an adolescent, as a teenager, just as a teenager in general, you guys are trying to be independent. You're trying to make your own way. Okay, so imagine being in a system that dictates literally everything you do, and that you have, not just one person or parents that you are answering to, but you have a caseworker, and you have a guardian ad litem, and you have a judge, and you have all these people dictating every single thing that you do in your life. That if you want to drive, or you want to get your driver's license, or you want to get a job, or you want to go on a trip, you have to get approval from like 14 people. That's exhausting.
It sounds terrible.
It is. And so it makes it very hard. And so then when you have the opportunity to get out of that system, you push really hard against it, because you want that independence, you want that freedom, you want to have your own agency. And so I think that is a lot of times what causes so much friction with adolescents who unfortunately are in foster care, because they have so many people telling them what they can do with their life, and they want to just make their own decisions, good, bad, or ugly, if they're going to fail, but they want to be able to have control over their life, when the majority of their life they haven't had any control. And the adults in their life have let them down, so they don't trust people. I get it, and it's hard. And so, yeah, there's a lot of challenges that come along with that. But being able to navigate that and give them the opportunity to have that independence, but do it safely, so not just free reign, have some guardrails up, but being able to allow them to make some of those own decisions for themselves. So
I think that a lot of people who have grown out of their teenage years forget what it was like to be a teenager.
1,000%.
And do you think this has reminded you more of how difficult it was to really be a kid in high school, let alone a kid in the foster care system, going through all of these things that we can't even begin to grasp?
Yeah, for sure. And, I think I got closer with my own mom during this time, and, texting her and being like, I'm so glad that, Life 360 didn't exist when I was a kid. I'd have been grounded a lot more. And, just all the things that we try and put in place, but because we're trying to protect you, but also needing to give you that freedom. But yeah, it definitely reminded me of my own teenage years. And, it is by the grace of God that I'm alive. Honestly, made a lot of really, really terrible choices. So,
Yeah, it's talked about a lot. Everybody wants a baby, but that's very difficult. We haven't had a kid come in at teenage age. I think the youngest we had, or the oldest we had, was first grade. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I remember because we were picking up Josie one day from school, and then we had another kid with us. Crazy. Yeah, so that's really difficult. They have the trauma from before, and then the system is
Trauma.
as best as we can. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
what
trauma.
we're trying, and then you have them, and you're trying to apply their needs, and then you're trying to also help build them up, but from those difficult situations, there's a lot of empowerment once they make it out. And that's really awesome that you're able to give her that. 3 kids. That's wow.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing.
Oh,
She sounds like a badass. Excuse my language.
Yep. She is.
Because as just even like a high school girl, I could never imagine going through that and persevering over it and just becoming more than the system. And I think that's so awesome that she was able to do that and that you helped her do that.
yeah. Some kids are mad about just having like 1 or 2 parents.
Yeah,
telling them what to do.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Trying to rebel.
I think this has definitely opened my eyes to something that I didn't know much about, obviously. Brian called me the idiot in the room before this. So I didn't know much about the foster care system. I know a little bit of like just what I've researched on the system as a whole, but definitely not in a personal aspect. And I think it's kind of crazy how many kids we have in Lebanon, in the high school especially, that are next to us that are just enduring all of these things that we could never even begin to imagine. And a lot of the times I feel like we see a lot of bullying in that aspect because, like you said, you guys don't know what the style is. You guys don't know what these kids want. And I think that just kind of being more understanding as a high school kid who maybe hasn't had to go through that and understanding that these kids are going through a lot. They're dealing with a lot, and there's a lot of traumatic experiences that come with those things. And they're just doing the rest. Everyone's just doing the rest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go into some opportunities that we have. So at the Fostering Hope Closet, what do you guys need? What are you looking for? Just hours, or what specific like baby care items?
So I think we just did our summer donation drive, and so we have all of the stuff. So really, we need volunteers, and we're open after school hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're open until 6, and so pop in with some of your buddies and say, especially guys, like, what do you need? What heavy things do you need moved? And there's always clothes to be hung up, and just every day is different. I am super ADHD, and so I love this job because it's totally different every single day, and literally cannot remember, what was I doing 2 days ago? But that's okay, because it's always different and it's always changing, and so very rarely will you ever do the same thing twice if you come in to volunteer. And if you do come in and volunteer, we can track your hours, and then when prom rolls around, we have our prom closet, which is also available to be used throughout the year. But we have formal gowns and suit coats and jackets for guys, as well as jewelry and shoes. And it's free for our clients, but it's open to the general public, and it's $50 an outfit or 5 hours of volunteering. So come in,
Wow.
Go ahead and start getting your hours in. And then when prom rolls around, or even if you find a dress or a suit coat now, we can set it back for you. And then when you get your hours in, it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that gives us, let's see, if we do sports, you still got an hour every day that you can help out in, 3 weeks, and you've got prom paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good deal. And then also people will need hours for like NHS. I know that's going to be a big one for our class this year. And there's a few other student council needs some
Student
hours.
council gets
Yeah.
volunteer hours.
So they'll
Yeah.
need some. So great opportunity to help out. Anything else that you would like to let people know about in our foster care system?
So not necessarily for the foster care system, but our Paving the Way program.
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard of this at all, but we teach driver's education, financial education, home management, career readiness and exploration, and other life skills. And it's a 2-week summer program. But through a grant from MoDOT, we were able to offer it in Osage Beach this summer as well. And then starting in October, we will be doing just the driving portion, in addition to that 2-week summer program, one-on-one driver instruction. And it is open to anyone in the community. You have to be at least 15. You have to have your permit. And then we can teach you one-on-one driver instruction.
That's awesome.
And that hits a very specific need that you mentioned already, where people are looking for, or kids in the foster care system are looking for some freedom. And so that really gives it to them. And that's a great opportunity to get, because I know sometimes driver's ed isn't very accessible, or people can be busy over the summer, or maybe they missed it because they were moving homes and they just didn't have the opportunity. So that's really awesome. And that's kind of I know my dad volunteers with that. And so it's fun to help out, but he was getting back into his driver's ed and we were a little worried for him, you know?
Yep. Well, we had been asking him for years to be a driver instructor, and he just kept putting us off. And I think it's because we didn't have a brake on the passenger side.
Maybe that would make sense.
Years ago. But hey, we did it for 4 years without that brake. And so,
I applaud you.
Yes, exactly. I definitely understand why parents really are terrified to teach their kids how to drive. And so I'm a 6-year, 7-course veteran. We have now graduated 60 kids from this program. And we developed this program after I taught my 6th kiddo how to drive. I was like, we need a program. I cannot keep doing all this by myself. So
someone's got to help.
Yeah. So that has been absolutely phenomenal.
All right.
That's incredible.
Well, thank you for joining us on
you guys for
Project
having
Z.
me, even though you made me cry.
It's okay.
We're sorry. Well, thank you for coming. If you guys are looking for volunteer hours, there's a great opportunity right here.
Or if you just want to help out.
Or if you just
Maybe if you just want to be a good person.
And maybe you can't take kids in if you're an adult, but you can at least donate old clothes that you have, or your kids' clothes, shoes. I'm sure you need baby products constantly, diapers. Yeah.
Yep. All of the things.
All the things. So maybe just chip in a little bit of money. It's a great opportunity. It comes right back to students that are sitting next to you, or students that your kids are with in school. And so, thank you for watching. And
that's all for today. This is it was very informative. Thank you so much, Laura, for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
And we hope that you guys take some of this and maybe apply it and do some things with it and go help her out over there at the Fostering Hope Closet.
all right. Thank you. Bye.